Welcome to Talking Black and Blue, where rivalries run deep and every Sunday is a battle. I'm your man, Will McCann, and along with my partner, Tellis Everett, we're a couple of fans from the heart of the Midwest, bringing you real talk and weekly breakdowns from the NFC North, the Black and Blue division. So whether you wear green and gold, Honolulu blue, purple and gold, or you rep the monsters of the Midway, you are in the right place. So lace up, strap in, and let's talk black and blue. Tell us, my man, what is up?
It's a great day here in Detroit. Hey, I want to thank everyone for supporting the Black and Blue podcast. Do us a favor and tell your football friends about how much fun we have over here. Just a quick reminder, both Will and I are real estate agents in Michigan. So if you or someone you know is looking to invest, buy or sell, look us up. We'll help you score a touchdown in real estate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, my man, we had a great week of football in week 6. The season is moving right along. Uh, Last week, with our picks, we both had Green Bay over Cincinnati. That game came out. We both had Washington over Chicago, and that game did not work out for either of us. And then I had Kansas City over Detroit. You had Detroit winning that game. So you end up 1-2 on the week, and I am 2-1 for the week. So with that on the season, that takes me to 13-5, and you're even 500 at 9-9. I think there are.
I'm looking for a wild card spot.
Yeah. Season's got a long way to go. We still got another 11 weeks to go.
Uh,
So plenty of time to catch up. So tell me, from this past week, from week 6, tell me what were your 2 or 3 takeaways, or what takeaways do you have from this past week?
Well, my takeaways from this past week is that the bye week did wonders for Green Bay and Chicago.
Mhm.
And I know we're a while away from it, but I think the Lions need a bye week.
Mhm. Mhm. I would agree with that.
But
Yeah,
Chicago,
I go ahead.
but I'm most impressed with Chicago, specifically that offensive line and the run offense with DeAndre Swift. He actually got off this week. I know we've been talking about him since preseason.
Yep, yep.
So that was my most impressive of the weekend.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say DeAndre Swift. You and I talked after we recorded last week, and you were giving me a hard time about saying that Caleb Williams was reading newspaper. And you're like, dude, that dude ain't never read a newspaper in his life. But I'm gonna say DeAndre Swift is listening to our podcast though, man, because he was like, "What did you say, Will McCann? Did you say I'm not a bell cow? Well, let me show you something." And DeAndre Swift
Exactly.
did go out and have a great game, man. He was the difference in that game for Chicago. Him just being able to run the ball, them controlling the game with him running the football was important for them. Caleb leading the team on a game-winning drive, seeing maturity out of the young man, seeing a little bit, seeing him develop. I still want him to stop running out of the back of the pocket. You can't escape the back of the
Right.
pocket. Don't run backwards. Get rid of the football. He took a couple of bad sacks. Um, and then he did end up throwing one away where, he just ran and escaped, but, he ran so far backwards, just put his team in danger. But Chicago's coming along, man. You have to be impressed with the job that Ben Johnson is doing. And I do agree with
Absolutely.
you. Green Bay and the bye week for them did wonders for them.
Yeah. And then staying with Chicago, I think we are seeing a sign of growth and culture building underneath Ben Johnson. This comeback is a major boost to their morale. Like they
Yeah.
can go on the road and they can win some games, right? And like we were talking about a little bit earlier with DeAndre Swift, he had 14 carries and 110 yards. And he had 2 catches for 67 yards, which is one of his niches of being able to catch the ball out of the backfield and had a
Yeah.
touchdown on one of
Yeah.
those catches. Those things coming together for their offense is important for Caleb's development.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
he can see if I do X, Y, and Z, we're going to be successful. And that defense is improving the run defense underneath Dennis Allen. So I think it's the team is coming together. Chicago as a whole should feel really good about where they're at because things are starting to come together. And there's that building block, that building of the foundation that Ben Johnson has been talking about. And then they're forcing turnovers with that defense as well. So again, they're a solid team. And
Hmm.
I know when we are talking about preseason with Chicago, I had them being 0 and 5 before
Yeah.
the Saints. And right now they're what, three and two?
3-2, three and
So
two.
they that's a solid good 5 games for Chicago, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. We were talking about the Packers and the bye being good for them, especially defensively. Man, they dominated Cincinnati. Cincinnati only ran the ball 16 times in that game. They made them one-dimensional, even though they completed more passes. Cincinnati completed more passes than Green Bay attempted. It was a bunch of short stuff. It was a bunch of stuff short of the sticks because Green Bay's defense were making key plays on first and second down. A lot of long third downs where they were getting completions but short of the sticks and having to punt. And they didn't score 20 points in that game. So, Green Bay has rounded into shape. Um, Still some concern about their health on the interior of their defensive line, but they're playing well. The guys they put in are playing well. So I think they should be happy with where they are right
They should be happy with that first half. That second half, defensively, was I mean, they have troubles defensively on the second half, and I don't know if it's just because the game's out of hand and they're playing prevent defense, but that first half they shut the Bengals out, and it looked like it was just going to be a runaway win.
now. Hmm.
And then at the second half, they were having some problems, like you say, with the interior defensive line. And
Hmm.
then again, Micah like disappeared in the second half. So, but if you're talking in offense, that offense was efficient. Jordan Love he completed 16 of 26 passes, like 260 yards, a touchdown. He did try to give away a pick in the, or actually he threw a pick in
He
the
is
red
he
zone,
is he is
right?
generous. The young man is generous, that's for sure.
He was generous.
Yeah,
And then
he'll give you a gift every game.
every once in a while. And that was at the beginning of the game. But I was excited to see rookie standout Matthew Golden. He's my my wild pick for MVP or rookie of the year, right?
Right, right.
Uh, so I was excited to see him get 86 yards, 16 rushing yards, and doing his thing. So and he helped keep the team successful going into the fourth quarter. And Josh Jacobs, that running game, that running line was working well. So Josh Jacobs did really well as well with 93 yards, two scores. So they look really good in the first half. I would just worry about Jeff Halfley's group in the second half of that game.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't be too concerned about that because I think you're right. I think they played to the circumstance. They played to the score, right? Um, yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned. And then again, Cincinnati's got those dudes over there, right? And
Right.
if you give them any space, yeah, you back up on them at all, they're gonna make plays.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm them. And you're right. They had the same kind of second half against Cincinnati or should I say, Cincinnati had the same kind of second half against Green Bay that they did against Detroit the previous week, right? Where they
Hmm.
basically did nothing in the first half, completely shut out in the first half, and then come back with a little desperation. We're going to play a little more open, abandoning the run. Let's just go all out and try to see what we can do, pass after pass, and try to get back into this thing. And I just think it was a lot of that also.
Yeah. But Green Bay should feel really comfortable where they're at. They're at the top of the division right now, the NFC North. Um, that, like I said, positive takeaways. The running game was clicking. Jordan Love was efficient, and the defense looked really well.
Yeah, I agree. As we move forward, turning the page on week 6 and moving forward into week 7, and looking at each individual team, starting with it at the top of the division, like you said, with the Packers. I know we just talked about them a bit. Any concerns about them? I know you were concerned about the second half, but overall, any concerns as they move forward with their season?
I think for me, it's twofold, right? It's making sure that Jordan Love continues to be efficient. He doesn't throw away the game, right? Doesn't become that mad scientist back there, like I just got to win everything.
Hmm.
Um, and the development of Matthew Golden, because they're still a little weak in the receiver area,
Yeah,
right?
I would agree. Yeah.
And my third concern is the defense. The defense does not look as dominant as we thought they would look,
Hmm.
especially with adding Micah. So
Right.
I'm worried about that. I mean, if Dallas scores 40 points on you, I'm
You're not gonna forgive them for that, are you?
I come on, the Dallas, right? Uh, so I am concerned about the defense.
Mm,
They they haven't put together a total performance. The only exception is when they played Detroit that first game. And
right,
we think
right.
and we both believe there was some extra juice there
Yeah, yeah.
that propelled them, but they haven't looked good for a whole game this season so far.
Yeah, I would say defensively, they look like I thought they would look this season. The issue is, you thought they would look a little different once Micah was added to
Right,
the team, right?
right,
So, yeah, from that standpoint, I agree with you. He hasn't elevated the defense the way I thought he would, right?
right.
But they're about, where I thought they'd be defensively. So, yeah, if you're expecting more impact because of the presence of Micah, then yeah, I can absolutely see why you're disappointed. I look at it and say, I see a lot of attention being drawn to Micah. So I see Edgerrin Cooper playing a lot better. I see Quay Walker playing better at times. And I see Lucas Van Ness. You remember I talked about him saying that, hey, maybe he's just one of those guys who's just a guy, right? But he's even been playing better. So I think the impact of Micah hasn't been with. I think we've yet to see it, right? I
Right.
think as we move forward and those guys figure out and start to win some of their one-on-one battles, I think we'll see them start to play better overall. I think Micah will start to adjust to what people are doing to him. And I think you'll see them come on in the second half. My concern with him usually is that he's usually a better first half of the season player than a second half.
That's
Uh,
right.
and it's because he plays so physical, and the season is so long. Because a lot of times, he's had double-digit sacks every season. I think he's had 12 every season he's been in the league, but he's usually had 10 by week 10, right? And
Right.
then toward the end of the season, we see some of that production kind of slow down. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. And I agree with you about Matthew Golden. I agree with you. They still seem to have a bunch of number two receivers, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see his development and whether he can elevate their receivers overall. And you're right, he did have a good game for them. Making plays with the ball in his hands, right? So that was positive to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so moving on to the second place team, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. So what do you think the status of the Lions is as we start to move into week 7?
We're starting to see the development of what happened late last year with the Lions and the injuries adding up and that next man up mentality. You're not seeing those players develop where they can step in and bring that intensity or even the skill level
Mhm.
to match the starters, right? So the injuries are just crucial for the Lions. I did hear that Lee McNeil is coming back this week,
Okay.
so that's going to be a big, big addition for them.
Now, is he just
Um,
practicing still, or are they talking about him actually playing this week?
they're talking about him playing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'Cause I know he practiced last week. I think there's some rule about he has to practice at least 2 full weeks
two
before
two
he's
full weeks.
eligible to come
Yeah,
back.
he's on schedule, and the advantage that they have the Monday night game too. So I think they're counting on him playing. They're counting on that. But with the cornerbacks that are injured, Arnold, Reed, we talked about this going into the game, is that you had to control the time of possession. And they
Hmm.
looked really good on that first drive. They just couldn't score a touchdown.
Right.
And they end up, get having to do the field goal and get 3 points.
Mhm.
But that's not where they lost the game. I feel like they lost the game when they couldn't pick up that fourth and two, and Amon dropped the ball.
What happened?
When they were fourth and
Yeah.
two toward the end of the
No, no,
second,
no. Repeat just the last part of that. Repeat the last part of that.
Amon dropped the ball.
What? Say that again. Okay. See, I want to hear you get on him the way you got on JMO. Now,
Yeah,
don't gloss
hey,
over
hey,
that.
yeah, right. So I that's where the game turned, right? Because
It really did.
it really turned right there because you can't give the Chiefs the ball in that situation because you know in that situation what they're going to do. They're going to go down, they're going to get points. And then they get the kickoff at the beginning of the second half.
Yes.
Again, so you just gave them 14 points.
Yeah. You're playing catch up from
You're
there.
playing catch up. So I think that was a crucial moment for them. The other issue was you got what's his name? Yasin? Yeah.
Rocky, I sing. Yeah.
Yeah, he had the pass interference on that drive
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
couple those type of things put you behind the eight ball and then you start to gamble a little bit more and you're pushing. Um, and at this point, the Detroit Lions look like a front runner team. Like if they
Mhm.
get behind, they lose the rushing component.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then you're just people are pinning the defenses are pinning their ears back and coming after you.
Yeah.
The other part of that game was, defensively, your linebackers were absent, and I think that was because they were playing some type of zone coverage
Hmm.
where they were trying to compensate for the lack of talent or skill behind them. So your linebackers are absolutely nowhere to be seen in this game.
Yeah. They had some issues playing Travis Kelsey, but a lot of people have some issues playing Travis Kelsey. Um,
Well, it just
they're
wasn't
they
Kelsey. It just wasn't Kelsey. You let Pacheco get off on you. And that's because you're not playing in the gaps. You're playing a zone coverage. And by the time he gets to the linebackers, he's already 5 yards deep on the rush. When weeks before, Anzalone and those guys, they would have been in the lanes and they get you at 2 yards, right? And bring you down. So I think it was twofold as far as the way that they were trying to play defense. And then that just allowed Patrick Mahomes to sit back there and pick you apart, along with Pacheco.
Yeah, I just thought it was like I said with their linebackers. I thought they had a lot of concerns with their tight ends. And I thought they were just getting their ass whooped by the Kansas City tight ends. Certainly, what happened to the offensive line and the run game. The run component wasn't the score. They couldn't block anybody, and I think Chanel did. I don't know if anybody on their offensive line ever blocked Chanel, and he
Hmm.
kept trapping Gibbs before he could ever get started. And what he was doing, because they had Skipper in the game, they're missing their Pro Bowl left tackle. He kept coming across the formation and confusing the interior of the Detroit offensive line. He'd line up in one gap and come across the formation and make the tackle in the opposite gap, meeting Jameer Gibbs every time in the opposite gap, and nobody would ever block him. Ratledge looked at him once, and I saw Glasgow look at him once, and they both blocked the next guy. They're blocking the next guy up and letting him run past them.
You're like
So
it's
there
Shades of
was some
Green Bay all
confusion there,
over.
but it was a lot of that all over again, right? At least it wasn't two guys not blocking him, right? And at least they did block somebody. They were just blocking the wrong guy. He was confusing them. And I think that's what took away a lot of their run game. It was just a lot of really short runs. They could never get anything going with the run game.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with you. Outside
but
that
yeah,
first drive, it was absolutely what you're talking about. They just started. I can't even describe it. It's just like they turned it off.
when you're yeah, they Dan Skipper is their third left tackle, right?
Right.
They cut my man at the end of training camp and brought him back on
Yep.
the practice squad. And when Decker got hurt, they went to a rookie who had never played, right?
Right.
Then he got hurt and they go to Skipper. So you're on your third tackle. He is a guy who's a vet and has played a lot of snaps in the NFL, but when you're down that low, you're going to have that's going to affect your offensive line. So getting like you said, the bye next week, they go on the bye next week. It will come at a good time for them. And yeah, they're concerned at D back also.
Yeah.
When both of your starting corners are out, and both of your starting safeties are injured,
Yes.
nobody's got that kind of depth, right?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, they've got
Yeah.
some issues there, and you have to be a front running team when you have no secondary,
Right.
right? And moving on, talking about the third place team, the Minnesota Vikings, they're on bye this week. Um, they don't have anything going this week. How do you feel about the Minnesota Vikings as they go into their bye?
As we go into their bye, the Vikings really need to improve their offense, particularly their third down conversion. And they also need to work on the offensive line health. They've had some issues there. We've talked about that in the past,
Yeah.
and that actually correlates to the penalties that they have,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
they have the most penalties per game
Yeah.
in the league. So, in the bye, we hope to see if JJ can come back after the bye
Mhm.
and see where they're at. But Carson Wentz has done a pretty good job of keeping them afloat. But those decisions, those things that they need to work on, like I said, improving the offensive line, that getting healthy, clearing up the penalties, and working on the third down conversions. Those things are important if they want to be up near the top of the NFC North and have a chance at playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. The bye does come at a good time for them because of the health of their O line. We talked about them getting Christian Darrisaw back, and he's playing because the next three guys to his right are all hurt, right? I think
Right.
if they were healthy, he probably wouldn't even be playing. So they've had some serious issues with health on their O line. And as you said, I think that has been an effect on their team and why they have so many penalties. When you're bringing in your second and third string O linemen, there's going to be some false starts. There's
Right.
going to be some holding and grabbing with them trying to protect, right? So yeah, the bye definitely comes at a good time for them. Getting JJ back, uh, he needs as many reps as he can get, man. I'm concerned about. The same with Jaden Daniels. They just have such a slight frame, and I'm concerned about their ability to hold up throughout the course of the season. Um, so I'm concerned about him in that way. Second season, he's already been hurt twice. But Matthew Stafford had the same kind of start to his career, and he
Hmm.
went like 8 straight years without missing a snap, right? So
Yeah.
he could develop in that way also. But yeah, he needs to play as much as he can. But if they have to
Yeah,
go back to Carson Wentz, at least they know they have a guy who's serviceable.
right, right. Now that you say that, I feel like Kirk Cousins was hurt a lot when he was in Minnesota.
Mm.
Like he was playing through a lot of injuries there too. So I don't know, maybe it's a training situation.
It's difficult to make it through the entire season, an entire NFL season. In 2023, there were 68 quarterbacks who started an NFL game. In 2024, there were 64 quarterbacks who started a game. So if that trend continues, at least 60 guys are going to start a game this year.
Mm,
The quarterback position, because people are coming after that guy. Guys
yeah,
get hurt playing that position. That's why you got to get the ball out as quickly as you can. And
right,
when you
right.
take off out of the pocket, get down. Because the quarterback is vulnerable. So yeah, it is a difficult position to play and difficult for guys to get through the entire season. I think last year, 15 of the 32 teams quarterbacks started all 17 games. So it's difficult.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the last place team, and every team in this division has a winning record. That last place team would be the Chicago Bears, who are
Yes.
3-2. So how do you feel about the Bears as they move into week 7?
We talked about this a little bit earlier, but they should feel really good about where they're at. They're 3-2. They're the issues that they're having, or the issues that I would be concerned with, is Caleb's inconsistency. Like his accuracy is, I mean, sometimes you see those balls just flying over like 10 feet over a receiver, right? So I think those are some of the things, but he has incredible talent. Like he can throw that ball in tight windows when it has to happen. But the other thing is that in this game, some of their drives were killed by penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they need to clean up the penalties so they can continue to have success. But I think they're on the right track. Like you see signs that they are growing as a team and that culture is building under Ben Johnson. There's some maturity, there's some resilience there to come back in this particular game. So they're on the right track.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you saying about Caleb also. I don't get some of those passes too. For him to display some of the accuracy he displays when he misses, he has some bad misses, and I think a lot of that is form. Just not having his base together when
Hmm.
he throws, throwing off platform when he doesn't have to throw off platform. I think some of that affects his accuracy, and that running backwards trying to throw too. I
Yes.
think he's got to get. I think he's got to alter that. I was thinking about Lamar and watching that game and
Hmm.
thinking about how some of the Baltimore coaches, there are some things like Lamar running backwards, they've stopped telling him not to do it, right? Because they know it's a waste of time. He's going to do it. But everybody's not Lamar, right?
Right. That's right.
Everybody's not that caliber of athlete. Even though you're a great athlete, those cats on the other side are great athletes also. And you just can't get away with some of those fundamental things that are wrong. He's got to get to be more fundamentally sound. And I think
Correct.
that will take care of some of his accuracy issues also. Yeah, I agree
Absolutely.
with you there. Defensively, I think they're playing well. Also, I was surprised that they weren't playing better defensively at the start of the season, actually. Uh,
Hmm.
with the talent I felt like they had on defense. And like you said, with Dennis Allen as a veteran defensive coordinator, I expected them to play a little better. I expected them to be the part of the team that carried the team. So,
If you I think if you look at it, they are actually carrying the team. They have three or more turnovers in three games this season so far, and that's outstanding,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're scoring on defense, right?
They
Or
put points on the board.
they put points on the board, or they put the offense in position to put points on the board. I think they got 10 points on it for the offense in this game. So
Yeah,
I think you're right. I just don't think you know that you're right, but that defense is carrying the team.
yeah. They they are playing better than I feel they're playing, is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think I expected them to, yeah, I expected them to play a little better. And you're right. They really have made some big plays on defense
Yeah.
at key times. That fumble at the end of the game, even though the fumble was due to a mistake by the quarterback, but how many times do you see a fumble and you see the offense fall on their own fumble, right?
Yeah.
The fact that there are guys in the backfield and right there when that happens to fall on the football uh,
In
definitely
that
was an
particular
important part of that game. Go ahead.
there was a point in that particular game where Jaden Daniels actually dropped the ball and it bounced right back to him and he continued to play. So to your point, a fumble by the offense doesn't
Right, right.
translate into the defense getting the ball. But
Exactly, exactly.
but I think what you're saying is that the defense so far doesn't pass the eye test. But
Yeah,
when you
I
go and you look at the numbers,
that's a good way to say it. That's a good
yeah,
way to say it.
yeah, they look inconsistent. They
Mhm.
look like they're giving up a lot, but they are taking that ball away. So I think that's where the disconnect is for you. Is like they don't look that great,
Yeah.
but they're playing some good defense.
Yeah, this was the first game I actually liked the way their defense played.
Hmm.
Um, because I expected Washington to score a little more, right? I expected
Right.
Washington to be able to move the ball a little more.
That's right.
And to the point you had made last week, they didn't have Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Would it have made more of a difference? I don't know. But yeah, I like the way Chicago played. I like where Ben Johnson's team is right now. Um, One of the reasons I'm rooting for Caleb to play well um, is because of the quarterback coach. And I lost my man's name. Uh, Played quarterback at Ohio State. But I'll come back to him in a minute. I'll come back to him when I talk about their game this week. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, I like where Chicago is and where Chicago is headed. So turning the page to week 7 as we get ready for games this week. Let's start with the Green Bay Packers at Arizona taking on the Cardinals.
So yeah, that was a big pause from me because this could be an upset of the week. Green Bay has not won a game on the road this season.
That is true.
The Cardinals, even though they're 2-4, they haven't, they're losing their games 4 points or less.
They've lost some tough games.
They've lost some tough games. So right now, so the line on this is Green Bay is 6.5. The over under is 44 and a half. And I actually wrote down Packers win 27-17. But
Okay.
this morning, I'm
You had
going,
a change of
I'm,
heart?
I have a change of heart, and I'm going the Cardinals 24, Packers 21.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, actually, I had the exact same thought, my guy. I only I went the other way for all of the exact same reasons, right? I'm like, the Packers haven't won on the road yet. We got Arizona at home. We have kind of a desperate team, and I've got the up down theory going in my head, right? I don't think Arizona's struggling, man. They have to win this game to save their season. Their coach is on the hot seat, uh, but I think Green Bay is just a better team.
Okay.
I think their roster is better than Arizona's roster. I don't think they're going into this game feeling like they are playing well. I think they're going into this game feeling like they still have something to prove. So I think they're going to come out in this game and try to compete. And I think they're going to play a close game. Arizona has played a bunch of close games. I think this will be another one of those close games where they come out on the short end. You and I both had them scoring 24 points.
Okay.
Only I had Green Bay getting an additional touchdown and having a Green Bay 28, Arizona 24.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and then moving on, the talk about the Chicago Bears at home taking on the New Orleans Saints.
Well, obviously for me, this is a win for the Chicago Bears. Simply because this was the only win they were going to get
Through the first week, 6 weeks of the
through
season,
the first
right?
6 weeks of the season. So the line is Chicago 5.5, over under is 47.5. I got the Bears 24-10.
Ooh, you got them crushing these boys, huh?
Yeah, New Orleans defense has struggled. They've allowed like 110 point or 110 QB rating and just getting outscored on the road 75-30, something crazy like that. So I I just don't see the Saints putting up a great performance, being competitive.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with a lot of that. They don't have a lot of guys playing well on either side of the ball, right? So they are coming into this game really struggling. Chicago's coming into this game feeling good about themselves. Chicago at home this week. Yeah, I agree with you. This is going to be a tough game for the Saints, I think. I've got it Chicago 27, New Orleans 17. And then we have you know what? I said Minnesota was on bye this week.
They're playing the
No, no, no.
Eagles.
Minnesota's coming off a bye. Minnesota's
Yes.
playing Philly this week.
Yes.
They're they're at home against Philly this week, by the way.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right,
So
so
Philly's a 1.5 favorite. Over under is 43.5. I have the Phillies 28-20. I know that analysts out there are predicting an upset by Minnesota, but I feel like Philly, they gotta get it together. They haven't looked good all season and they lost those two games, and they're not gonna go into I personally feel like they're not gonna go into Minnesota and drop. I think they're gonna go put their stamp on it and yeah, let the league know where we're at.
yeah, I think I agree with you. People are calling for upset alert in this game. I don't see it either. I'm with you. Minnesota has too many struggles on offense and with their offensive line. Um, this is what Philly does, right? They
Right.
start slow every season. People start talking about, hey, are they coming apart? And they'll start talking about turmoil in the team, and then they get it together and they go on a big run and end up showing that they are one of the best teams in the league. And I think they will pull this game out. I think they'll get it together as the season progresses. I don't think they are now the team they will be by playoff time. I see Philly winning this game also. Only have a little closer, a little lower scoring game. I have it Philadelphia 23, Minnesota 20. And then lastly, we come to the Monday night game where we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield, traveling to Detroit. How do you see that game this week?
Detroit's favorite by 5.5. The over under is 52.5. I got the Lions winning 34-28. Again, it's very similar to last week where you got the Buccaneers coming in. They don't have a lot of receivers, but somehow they keep winning, right?
Yeah.
So if the Lions can control the time of possession and use the rushing game, they should be successful. Yeah, I don't know if the lack of receivers for the Buccaneers balances the lack of DBs for the Lions. So I it's a hard. I feel I feel like it should just be a shootout in that sense,
Mhm.
but I think for the Lions to win, they really got to control the offensive rushing game.
Yeah, I agree with you. If they're going to win, they've got to run the ball better this week than they did last week. Yeah, they were stuffed a lot running the ball last week. They had enough, right? I mean, they ran the ball 23 times. A lot of that was because they were behind, but their yards attempt, they were less than 4 yards per carry. So, I mean, I take that back. They were 4.2 a carry. You want to be
Mhm.
around 4.4 or better. So they had a couple of long runs that helped their numbers, but for the
Right,
most part, they were not very effective running the ball. Have to be
right.
more effective running the ball this week. I think they will be. Tampa Bay came to Detroit last year and beat the Lions.
Hmm.
And Baker Mayfield, in interviews leading up to the game and people asking him questions about strategy and what you guys have to do. And all he kept saying was, I'm tired of losing to Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm tired of losing to Detroit. And that's the attitude that young man plays with. I love that young man. I like him. I like players, man. Especially a guy I didn't think was good, right? And
Right.
he proves me wrong, right? And he
Hmm.
shows that he has something. This young man plays with heart every week, man. He brings it every week. Him and Kyler Murray both, when they take off from the pocket, they look like a toddler running with the remote, right? And you just can't catch up to him, right?
That's right.
But he's out there scrappy, making things happen. I think he will again this week. I think Detroit plays with a little desperation at home, trying to head into the bye and get healthy. And I think they find a way to win. And I have this game Detroit 34, Tampa Bay 30.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's also something for Detroit too, where they don't lose back-to-back games. So that's
Yes,
that's
you know
also
that as you mentioned that, especially under Dan Campbell, they haven't lost back-to-back games in almost 3 years now.
right, right.
Uh, this week, the Tennessee Titans fired their head coach, Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan, do you know what his record was? Have you heard what his record was?
No, what was it?
It was 4-19.
Oh,
So 23 games, his record is 4-19. Do you know what Dan Campbell's record was after his first 23 games?
what was it?
4-18-1.
Okay. Okay.
They were 4-19-1 before they turned it around. They were 1-6 his second season before they turned it around, won a game, and started moving forward. And it takes me back to something Pat Kerwin says all the time. And he's one of the guys on the radio, or he's a former NFL executive who's on the radio, whose opinion I respect, right? And my man said that if you hire a first time head coach, you got to give the guy time to learn the job. Yeah, he's not going to know that you wouldn't hire anybody for any position and expect them to know the job if they've never done it.
That's true.
And
That's
a
true.
lot of times teams just get in this cycle of hiring first time coaches. And if the guy doesn't hit right away, they're moving on and moving on to somebody else. When you look at teams that do that, they stay in the cycle of
Yeah.
hiring coaches over and over.
Yeah, that's true. I think the major difference is that when the Lions were going 1-6, they looked different than that first year, right? They were close, and you could see that they were close. And then ownership believed in Dan Campbell and his coaches, and they didn't interfere with that, and they were going to ride it out. Tennessee has not looked good at any point.
Does and I would ask the question, does the coach pick the players? You see, it's never about the X's and O's. It's always about the Jimmies and Joes.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
the fact that they don't have players isn't on the coach.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? So that wraps up our week this week. Those are the games this week. As we put a bow tie on this episode, tell us, you have anything for us?
We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. You know, Will and I love talking football, but when we're not breaking down the NFC North, we're out here working in real estate, helping people make moves off the field. So if you or someone you know is talking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we've got you covered like Green Bay legendary cornerback Charles Woodson. Fellas, share the pod with your buddies. And ladies, share it with your crew. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And don't be a knucklehead. Drop us that 5-star rating.
Hey, we appreciate everybody for listening. We appreciate all the comments people have made, and we will see you next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, my man. Awesome.